I'm so excited to finally share this. I'm officially reopening my signature program, Next Level Latina. And to kick things off, I'm hosting a free live webinar on Tuesday, June 3rd from 5 to 6:30 Pacific time, and you're invited. Let me ask you this. Have you been craving something more outside your job? Maybe you've had an idea, a podcast, a personal brand, a side hustle, and it won't leave you alone. But every time you try to start it, you overthink it, you talk yourself out of it, like you feel like, who am I to do this? If that's you, this webinar is for you. I created Next Level Latina because I was you. I had a 6-figure tech job, I had a degree, I was doing everything right, and yet I felt this deep pull to create something that was mine. Something that reflected my voice, my culture, my story. And when I finally listened to that voice, everything changed. This workshop is going to walk you through exactly how to start something that's yours, something meaningful, something aligned with your purpose, and yes, something that can bring impact and income. We're talking mindset, clarity, confidence, and visibility. I'll be sharing real client stories, women who went from stuck to speaking on stages, launching brands, and finally owning their power. This is your sign to show up for yourself. You do not need to have it all figured out to begin. And listen, if you can't make it live, still sign up because you're gonna get the replay to your inbox so you won't miss it. Go to the link in the show notes and save your seat now because your voice, vision, and your next level, they're already waiting for you. Welcome to Empowermente, the headquarters of personal empowerment. Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Empowermente. I'm so excited to be recording today. It's always a pleasure to sit down together and share knowledge, insights, and life updates with you, and I'm so excited. So I'm recording this before going home, or I guess to my old home, which is El Paso, Texas, where I'm from. I'm going to spend some time with some family and we're going to start looking at wedding venues. Yay, I'm super excited and I really think this is such a beautiful time. It's one of my dreams to have a beautiful wedding, to have a beautiful marriage, and I'm excited to take you on that journey with you. Transitioning to being with somebody and living with somebody is a whole personal identity transition. It is a big one, and I went through the thick of it last year. I feel like I'm a lot more accustomed this year, but I'm really excited for this stage of my life. And yeah, I'm excited. Voy a ver a mi mami. We're gonna go eat. We're gonna go see a lot of venues in Juarez because I've always dreamt of a wedding in Mexico. I just think they're so much better and more cultural and beautiful, and I just love the sequence of how things happen in Mexico. I love the music. No sé, no por ser juzgona, pero the weddings that I've been in US, I'm really not a huge fan of. And after going to a lot of weddings in Juarez, there's so many nice, beautiful venues, and I'm excited to explore them this weekend. Yes, I'm gonna celebrate my mommy because I'm not gonna see her for Mother's Day, and this is probably gonna come out that week of Mother's Day. So if you're a mommy, happy Mother's Day. If you're not, happy Mamita Day or happy Mother's Day to your mom, and I wish you all the best. I'm excited for today's episode because I feel like I've never really broken down how I got into public speaking. And to be honest, my journey has been pretty magnetic. I think I have attracted a lot of the opportunities that have come my way. And I only started implementing more strategy when I went full time. And before I went to being an entrepreneur full time, I still had so many opportunities that were calling me, and I'm gonna explain those to you today. One of the questions that I get is, how do you get speaking engagements? And so that's exactly what this episode is going to be a breakdown to. I'm really going to break down those initial steps so that you can get your first speaking engagement, and I'm going to offer something at the end of the episode if you want additional support in it, because I have many years of experience. And actually, this week in my program, one of the Empowerment Circle members, one of my clients, she just got an offer for her first paid speaking engagement that is a keynote, and we were beyond ecstatic. And she's only been in the program for 6 weeks, so it's such a huge win for her. And it is just so exciting to be able to get paid to just talk. It is really insane to me. It's more about sharing your experiences, your knowledge, and your expertise, right? But it is just really surreal to like stand up on stage and feel like you have something to offer and value, and people are paying you a lot of money for it. And I'm just laughing because Jose just got here and he's trying to not to make noise, but I can see him through the mirror. And so you'll learn how to leverage the experiences that you already have, your expertise, your mission, and how not just to get money from it, but how to make a meaningful impact on people's lives because of it. Like, imagine standing on stage and sharing a story that's going to change somebody's life, that you can share your experiences, whether of hardship, pain, or resilience, and that people are actually going to be changed forever because of it. They're going to go on their lives and they're going to be like, I remember years ago, Gina mentioned this in her talk, and it's something that I always carry with me. Imagine that same thing about you. Public speaking opened so many doors for me. It gave me freedom, alignment, and it allowed me to use my story to create opportunities, and not just for myself, but the communities around me. And I've already established this from one of the episodes previous to this one, which was Your Voice Matters Right Now, I think it's called. And really, I tried to drive the point home that our voices matter more than ever. Our stories matter more than ever. There are generations waiting to listen to your story because we are shaping how society is going to look like. And it's so important that our voices are part of that pool, because we want to create a diverse society with multiple perspectives and opinions that we can see ourselves reflected in the society, because representation matters. And so in a crazy political climate that we have right now, it's so important to learn the skill of public speaking, whether you want to be on stage or not, because whatever comes out of your boca, your mouth, has an impact, right? It's one of the 4 agreements. Be impeccable with your word. And, I'm not perfect at it either, but it's important for us to work on it. And so I'm excited to take you on this journey with me. And right before I jump into it, I just want to acknowledge that right now, times feel very chaotic, and I just want to tell you that I see you, that you're not alone. There are really loud and noisy headlines making us nervous and uneasy every single day. It is a time of chaos, of political turmoil, and if you're feeling some type of way, I just want to tell you that you're not alone. It's completely normal to feel uneasy and unsafe executing anything during this time. So I just want to take a moment and acknowledge that and send you so much love, and just to let you know that we're in this together. So today I'm going to share how I started my public speaking journey, and really how it was a call that I answered, and how that led for me to make thousands of dollars out of public speaking. Last year, 33% of my income was public speaking, which is amazing. I never thought I would be able to make such a big part of my multiple streams of income and living from public speaking. And so it is really a very profitable industry. When you're starting out as a public speaker, it's normal to do it for free, but there are levels that you can unlock as you keep gaining more experience and as the outcomes that you're delivering become more impactful to the people listening. So when you're starting, I remember my first paid speaking engagement was $200, and my friend Fernanda Sulantay hired me because she did a conference called I believe it was Empowered Engineers. I don't recall, but this was 2020, and it was really surreal that somebody had hired me to speak, and I was just really proud of my first paycheck. So shout out to Fernanda. But after that, I kept doing a lot of free ones to gain visibility, but there was a certain time where people would straight up tell me their budget. And so that's when you start playing around with negotiating and seeing really what is your market value. When you're starting now for your first few speaking engagements, it's normal to get paid under $5,000, because you're gaining experience, that visibility. You don't have a speaking brand necessarily. Once you gain a brand, it goes from 5,000 to 10,000. Once you are an established speaker, it varies, but you go from 10,000 up. And there are celebrities who charge like 50,000, $100,000 to step on a stage, which is really, really big numbers. But we're starting from step one, and I'm going to take you on that journey today. And by the way, I have a free gift for you that I'm going to be talking about more later, but it's a pitch template. So if you're looking to get paid speaking engagements, I'm attaching in the show notes a pitch template that you can use to pitch yourself to different organizations. And we will get to that, but just so that you're aware, there's that resource available for you. Okay, so today I'm going to share my personal story about how I got into public speaking. I'm going to break down how I get speaking engagements. So just as a foreshadow, they're 66% from my brand and network and about 33% from pitching. And it always happens to me that everything that I do is always proportional. Like I mentioned, like my income is also proportional from all the things that I do. I guess it's just logical because I'm investing my time and energy in those things equally. 3, I'm going to explain SEO in a very simple way and how to create searchable content to position you as a speaker. 4, I'm going to talk a little bit about the pitch template because it's not just about creating a brand that attracts. You can also pitch yourself. 5, I'm going to tease a little workshop that I have available for you to date as well. And then I'm going to give you my final empowerment message. And I've been really bad about keeping something consistent in these episodes. Like, I was thinking of doing like, the daily quote of the day or the daily message for season 1. And now that I think about it, I completely forgot about it for season 2. So if you're listening, let me know if you want to see something specific, maybe a quote. Maybe I could do like a Q&A where you all ask me questions and then I can answer one of them. Or I can do the one that I did also last season, which was reframing trash thoughts. So let me know. I want to hear from you. Okay. So let's get into the first part, which is how I got into public speaking. So in 2019, it was 2018. In 2018, I was a grad student at the University of Texas at El Paso, which is where I went to school. And I remember that TED Talks were like a big thing and they were like very trendy at the time. Like they were a very hot topic. And so I spent most of my free time listening to a lot of TED Talks. And so I got an idea that got planted in my head that said, Gina, I want you to do a TED Talk one day. I don't know if it's going to be within the next 5 years, 10 years, but one day I want you to do a TED Talk. That's what I told myself. And I was like, cool. Yeah, I think that's a really cool dream to have, to be able to share your knowledge, experience, and your big idea. And so I thought about it and I was like, yeah, this is definitely something that I'm going to add to my dream list. And I went on to my life. I was a very busy gal in 2018. I was, again, a graduate student. I was also a teaching assistant and a research assistant at the time. And so I was very busy, y'all. But the months passed, and a few months later, you're not going to believe what I got. I got a freaking email from UTEP that they were going to have their first TEDx event. I was like, there's no way. Like, I was thinking about this, and you mean to tell me that I get to go to a TEDx event? But that's not all. They literally were casting and auditioning people to do a TED Talk. And I was like, no way. Like, this is really out of the world. Like, ¿cómo voy a hacer esto? O sea, no. Wow. Like, I was like, this is my shot, but at the same time, I'm terrified and what the hell is happening right now, right? So then I was like, no, I don't think I'm going to apply. I don't think I'm ready to do this yet necessarily. And so what's interesting is that many times we put our intentions out there and we're like, I want to do this. This is one of my dreams. This is what I want. And then we get it in a short time span and we're like, wait, hold on. Like, I'm actually not ready for this. I'm feeling really nervous right now, right? But really, we have the ability to attract experiences into our reality really easy. It's just about accepting the abundance that's coming our way. And so when that happened, I was like, no, I'm not going to do it. But then I was also interviewing for Microsoft at the time, and they had a part of the interview where I had to do a presentation. And so I struggled also to figure out a topic that I would like to talk about. And so it had to be about something you were passionate about. And so I thought, through all my experience as an engineer, something that I'm passionate about is representation. So I want my presentation for Microsoft to be about empowering women in STEM and representation. And so it also coincided that that was the first year that Microsoft did something out of the box. Microsoft released their first diversity report ever. And so this was like a 20-page report reporting their numbers according to diverse employees. So it broke down how many women were in their company, how many Hispanic people, how many Asians, what was their strategy to diversify their workforce. And so there was something really revolutionary, to be honest, because people and companies don't release that information typically. And so what I did is that I used that report to create my presentation and share how really the future of innovation in tech lied on representation. And so I did my presentation, and as the date got closer to submit your application to be a TEDx speaker, I thought, hey, I can actually use all this information that I have for my presentation because that's something that I would love to talk about. And I did struggle because I was like, do I want to talk about that? What else am I passionate about? Travel? Like, how am I going to talk about this? So then I ended up applying and using that presentation. I got an audition. And so the next step was basically to go up to a group of people and share my idea, share a little bit about what I would talk about, and then give them a glimpse of it. And so I did. And I had like a panel of people. Of course, I was so nervous. Honestly, my mindset was so chillin'. I was nervous, but at the same time, I was like, I don't think I'm gonna get it, so I'm not gonna try that hard. Really, it's really that how it happened. And so I went ahead and auditioned, and long story short, I got it. I never thought that that talk would shape so much of my life later, and it's just a testament to accepting abundance as it's coming to you, even if you have resistance to it. The universe is literally talking to you through every single experience that you're having, and it's up to you if you want to accept it or not. And so I accepted it, and it completely changed my life. My TED Talk was Empowering Women in STEM and Leadership, which was about reshaping the way that we talk about STEM, especially to young women. It was really about adding meaning to what STEM careers could mean. How are you going to change people's lives? How are you going to change society with your STEM education and or work? And so I can link the TEDx if you want to hear it. It was from 2019, so it's been 6 years, but still relevant, still good. So that's how I got into public speaking. Because of that TED Talk, I started to get more and more opportunities, and from those opportunities I got more opportunities. And so it was really just a matter of accepting them. So now that I covered my personal story of how I got called into public speaking, I'm going to share with you the breakdown of how I get speaking engagements now. What does SEO have to do with this? I want to talk about the freebie and the workshop that I'm going to be offering and the final message. So let me break down how I get speaking engagements now. I shared with you the story of my TED Talk and how I got into public speaking, really because it was not something that I was looking for. But once I did it, I knew that it was something that I loved, because in 2020, when I started working, in 2019, when I started working at Microsoft, one of the questions they asked us at orientation was, what would you do if money weren't an issue? And my answer was motivational speaker. So I knew that it was something that I loved. I knew it was something that I enjoyed, but I just didn't fully own it. But now that I've shared with you how I got into public speaking, I'm going to break down how I get speaking engagements now. So 66% of my speaking engagements are through my brand, my personal brand, and my network, and 33% are through pitches. So what do I mean by brand? I mean literally by my social media content and my brand as a whole. So if you want to get speaking engagements, you need to clarify what you want to talk about. What is your niche? What is your message? If I were to start over and I wanted to start public speaking, I would start by defining what am I going to talk about? And I would even do my sample talk or my sample workshop, because that is going to define who you pitch it to and what outcomes you're trying to get them to achieve. And so through my brand, I used to create content about STEM representation, how to get into tech. And from that, I got a speaking engagement at Business Insider. I did a panel with them. I used to talk a lot about mental health and what that meant in the Hispanic community. And from that, I got to moderate a panel in Houston, Texas at a Hispanic health conference. And I also got to talk about it at Harvard, which was mental health for high achieving Latinas, which is a little bit a combination of what I talk about now. So the key is to create content about what you want to speak about. When you create that content, you'll be the first person that they call because you already have a brand talking about that content. And so, of course, it was not just like one video, it was like multiple videos forming my brand and what people know me as, and then having my website and my systems to back them up. And what do I mean by that? I mean that my website has a lot of context to who I am and what are my qualifications to talk about the subject. And it doesn't necessarily mean that I have a degree in it. I don't have a mental health degree. I'm not a therapist, but I speak from my own experience in my social mobility journey of going from low income to a high earner and from being a first gen and my personal story. And so those are my qualifications because the audience that I seek to speak to is going to find value in that. So just some tips. The other 33% of my speaking engagements have come from pitching. For me, last year, I really wanted to focus on doing speaking engagements for schools. And so I have a virtual assistant that helped me pitch myself to a lot of different schools, but I was really intentional about who I would pitch to. Since my message is more about the Hispanic community, about being first gen, I would pitch to departments and organizations that would be about diversity. And, now it's a whole thing with DEI attacks happening and departments being shut down, but that was my approach last year. And the thing about creating a brand and entrepreneurship and all these things is that you need to learn to pivot as times get difficult and times get different. People want different things at different times. It's not that you're going to change your whole message, you're just going to adapt it to what is needed at the time. And so I'm going to gift you a pitch template. If you're interested in doing public speaking, you can get the template below, and you're just going to put your name and email and you're going to receive the template. And that's how I got a lot of speaking engagements. 3, I mentioned that I receive speaking engagements from my brand and from my videos. The key to being found to do those speaking engagements is SEO, search engine optimization. You can use TikTok. Instagram is actually getting really good at SEO. Threads is really good right now in terms of visibility, and LinkedIn is a monster when it comes to visibility. So when you talk about the topics that you want to talk about, make sure that you talk about them in relationship to your keynote or workshop. Position yourself as a thought leader that wants to share insights with the public. If you want to do public speaking about career advancement, you would say, here are my 3 tips as a career enthusiast, whatever it may be. And then you share the tips. And so this is going to position you as somebody that's bringing value to their audience, which later you're going to use as you're in conversations with the person who wants to hire you. YouTube is always great as well. It's just a little bit more time investment to create a video like I'm doing it today. But SEO is really the way that people can search and find you. And, I would use hashtags of being a speaker as well. And so that's number 3. Number 4 is that, oh, I already told you about the freebie. So I guess that's it. I have a freebie for you. Hope that you found it valuable. I know that I always say that. Like, I listen back to my podcast and I'm like, the same 3 phrases that I say in every one. Pero en serio, I always hope that you get value from this. And if you do, please leave a comment. Please rate this podcast 5 stars if you're finding value in it. And please, if you're watching on YouTube, please like it. Please subscribe. YouTube is so hard to grow, y'all, because it's a whole nother thing. You know, I've always done short form and YouTube is a whole nother thing. So if you like the podcast, if you like what you're listening to, please subscribe. Please like the video. That's how you can support me. And I want to emphasize that you already have the experience that you need to share your message, to be a thought leader, and to differentiate yourself. You don't need another degree. You don't need another certification. Of course, if you have the time and money and willpower and desire, please do so. But I'm saying that you have plenty of life experience that can help other people, and you should really tap into those gifts because they're going to make a difference in society. So, muchas gracias por escuchar y espero que lo hayan disfrutado. Saludos.